In Genesis 25, the trajectory of Abraham comes to an end and the cycle of the history of his son Isaac and his descendants begins. God coordinates this new journey, protecting the generation of the promise, while at the same time showing his power to the neighboring peoples and human decisions. Abraham had another wife named Keturah, who had 6 children, from whom came 7 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. This shows that the promise of God to Abraham was being fulfilled, that he would be the father of many nations. Abraham would still take care of Isaac and his descendants. Isaac, who was the firstborn, would have the main inheritance rights. The other children would also have them, and Abraham's solution was to divide his wealth. Everything he had, he divided. The majority went to Isaac, and the remainder to the other children. The other sons of Abraham were sent to the east in the land of Canaan, so that there would be no future dispute among them over the promised land. Abraham lived 175 years, died happy, old, and full of days, being buried with the mortal remains of his ancestors in the cave of Machpelah, where his wife Sarah was also buried. After his death, God blessed his son Isaac, who dwelt near the well of Lahai-roi. Ishmael, the son Abraham had with the servant girl Hagar, had his descendants and lived to 137 years old. Abraham was a God-fearing man. He obeyed all his instructions, respecting and fearing men of authority, having a noble spirit without covetousness. He knew how to forgive and intercede for others, had a faithful love for God, knew how to believe in God when there were no visible signs, and his faith determined the theme of the Old and New Testaments. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, who was the daughter of Bethuel of Padan Aram. Just as it was with his mother Sarah, his wife Rebekah also could not have children. Therefore, Isaac cried out to God, who heard his prayer and made his wife pregnant. Rebekah was distressed due to intense movement in her womb. She sought God, who answered her, "There are 2 nations in your womb." This made her know that she would have twins. Both would be very different and would be the parents of distinct peoples. God also revealed to Rebekah that the descendants of her youngest son would dominate the descendants of the oldest son, who would serve them. The birth of the children generated great affection from the parents due to their differences, and their names were given according to their appearances. The first son, who was red-haired and hairy, was called Esau or Edom, whose color is reddish. The second son of Jacob, for he was holding his brother's heel when he was born. Isaac was 60 years old when his sons were born. As the boys grew up, the difference between them became more pronounced. Esau became a skilled hunter, and Jacob was a quiet man who lived in tents. Due to their personalities, the young men generated different preferences in their parents. Isaac preferred Esau because he enjoyed hunting, while Rebekah preferred Jacob because he was calm. Rebekah entrusted Jacob with the message that God had told her before his birth. By custom, the firstborn son was the legal heir of the entire father's estate, and it was permitted, by agreement, for the birthright to be transferred to a younger brother. Then, to satisfy his hunger, Jacob took advantage of a weak moment of his brother Esau, when he was physically exhausted and hungry after a hunt. Jacob, who cooks very well, prepared bread and lentil stew for his brother and opportunely began to negotiate with Esau, who was hungry, without caring about his firstborn rights. Esau then ends up selling his birthright in exchange for this shrewd kindness from his brother Jacob. Thus, Esau despised his birthright. We see that Abraham had a blessed and long life. This is God's desire for us. And that Isaac, as the priest of his family, interceded in prayer for many years so that God would open Rebekah's womb and thus continue his blessed lineage. But we know that this was already a promise from God to this family. I believe that God did this to keep Isaac in obedience. So, the years he had to pray for Rebekah to get pregnant kept him in that condition. In everything there is a purpose in God. We also see that Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of lentils. This action shows how impulsive and inclined to the pleasures of the flesh he was, and that he did not value the obedience and the blessings that God had granted to his family. Thus, we observe that God is loyal to his promises, even as time passes and situations change. For we cannot place God within our human desires or parameters. We also understand the consequences of our choices. Because how many times do we risk trading permanent values for momentary pleasures? This challenges us to value faith, spiritual heritage, and the promise of God above the impositions and desires of the moment. In this way, we are reminded that God's plan continues and progresses, with or without our prominence. For each purpose, detail, and choice has meaning in the broad story of redemption that God is structuring. God of wisdom. Did you like the content? Leave your like, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more inspirational messages.